If someone walks in, I'm hanging myself. I don't want to talk too loud because the bathroom is echoey and then everyone in the entire building will hear me. But you are gonna come with me on my final week of school. Well, first of all, before I start chatting with you, I'm gonna try and get a thumbnail. I thought I'd give a description, not a description, a layout of my classes. Today is Monday. Today I had an 8 a.m. class, seminar in criminal justice. My second class at 9:30 was forensic lecture. My third class was at 11, that was criminal investigation. That class was only 30 minutes. We went test review. My next class is at 6:30 p.m. Yeah. And then tomorrow I only have one class, survey mathematics. It is nothing, I have no idea why it's called that. It's easy. Wednesday is the same as today. Not really, never mind. Wednesday is 9:30 forensic lecture again, 11 criminal investigation again. I have a test in both those classes. And then at 2 o'clock is forensic lab, which is going to be the second part to my lab final. So I figured I'd just bring you along for the week, as I explained in my earlier clip, but there's also not much to show you. I did 2 pieces of homework today for my first class, the seminar in criminal justice. I don't know if there's a final in there because he goes, all right, everyone, the final's on Wednesday of next week, and I'm like, because that class, we read an article, we write an essay on it. We read an article, we write an essay on it. What exactly are we tested? We haven't had a test. It's just essay, 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 essay every week. So I'm like, test? On what? You have to do like a summary of your finding. Excuse me. You're blocking my show. Let me give an example. Okay. Let me do the summary I just did. This is for next Monday, my last class. Article 13 is a strip search of middle school students that is aimed at finding drugs prohibited under the 4th Amendment. So, if someone says that it is okay to strip search a middle school student, even if it's for drugs, you have issues. So, I might see you later, I might not.
I don't know if you can see me very well, but I may just put some angry images over this voiceover. But I have a class. It starts at 6:30 and it's supposed to end at 7:50. The entire semester, which today was the last class, because next Monday is our final, all semester he's like, just give me till 8, the 10 extra minutes, and I'll have you out of here. It is 8:50. Almost an hour over, nearly an entire hour to review for the test. All he was saying was, study this, read on this topic. Like, that's all he was saying. Like, I know what to study.
Not to be a party pooper if you were enjoying that, but dear Lord, does that take a long time to edit with all the stock images. Sorry, but I'm cutting the audio. There was like 10 minutes left, but it was just me saying the same things over and over. Like, we don't need to be here. I know what to study. This is bull crap. I will add this real quick. Every time someone got up, he'd be like, sit back down. You're going to want to know this. So I'm like, I can't even leave. I can't even try to escape. But anyway, that's that. Sorry, I'm not continuing all that. That's just, it's too much. Okay. I'm gonna make this quick because people could come in any second. If you are a college student, you ever went to community college, you can have TAP. It is extremely difficult to work with them. Something is always wrong. You always need to send them something or fax them over a document. And you have to schedule a call to talk to them. And sometimes they don't call you, and they're always booked out a month, especially if it's, like, busy, like around September. You're doomed. Like, your problem's not going to get fixed for a long time. And I called them, well, they called me, because I made an appointment on Friday, and they said, we sent the money to your school is doing something wrong. So I'm like, the people in the financial aid office, they walk in there, they already know my student ID. I don't even have to tell them. They know who I am. They're like, what's going on now? Like, I hate being that person. I'm like, I called TAP. They said, you guys are the issue. I go to financial aid. That's what I say to them. They say, yeah, it's as a credit. I don't know what's going on. They send me a student accounts. I go to student accounts. Student account goes. Financial aid they didn't apply the credit. So instead of me going back to financial aid and wording it like an owl, they're like, let's call them. So she called them. She puts the phone down and she goes, fixed. And I said, should I get the money in like a few weeks or so? And she goes, within the week. And I go, yeah. So my bills are all paid. This is a refund. I got a refund beforehand, because I'm lucky with how much money I get. I get big refunds. And this refund, guys, a grand total of $2,700. And coming from someone with no money, very much needed. Update you, I guess. I'm in math class right now. This is my math class. I'm always the first one here, but I left the house early because I knew I needed to go to the financial aid office. But now I'm gonna spend some time in math. It's the most boring class I have, actually. Yeah. Oh, sorry for all these story times and rantings. This video is turning into a rant, but it's okay. See you later. This is such an unflattering angle. It was the night before 2 exams. We're all through the house. Not a creature was studying. Not even me. So the audio is gonna suck because my phone's gonna die and I was gonna use a mic, but I need to plug this into my phone obviously for that to work, but my phone's gonna die. So we're gonna have to deal with this sucky audio right here. I wrote down all my questions and then I covered up the answers and I went through and answered them with my brain cells. And now we're gonna see if I did this correctly. You're gonna have to take my word for it. I'll just hold it right here. So, number 1, 3 types of ID procedure. Line up, show up, photo array. Yeah, I got those down. Line up it's like that TikTok where it's like, can you sing this song for me, please? I want it that way. Alright, number 2. Tell me why ain't nothing but. Alright, number 3. But a heartache. You know, lineup of people. They all have to look the same though. But all of them look the same except for this one. Oh, I left off on telling you who that was. When someone looks different, it can be not bias, but suggestion. It can be suggestion. Not like it meant to be, but it just, he's different, so he sticks out. Most people are more likely to pick him when he might not be the culprit. 2, to narrow down a suspect to a specific person. Tattoos on face. That, I get that. Don't mind the hair, but this is just for example. Who's easier to identify? The man with tattoos or the man who looks pretty relaxed? This isn't a good example, but you get the point. 1 is obviously easier to identify than 2. Leave it at that. Guys, I slayed this down. I got them all right. Genius. I'll see you probably tomorrow because I'm gonna lay down and do nothing the rest of tonight. I'm feeling a bit lazy in me. Hope you learned something. Bye. Alright, so I have a test in about an hour, and I'm not gonna lie, I wrote a little cheat sheet that I was gonna try and sneak in there, but this is when I thought the test was on Monday. The test is actually today, which is Wednesday, and we learned more on Monday that's gonna be on this, so it's all this plus more. So it's like, I don't think I stand a chance. Do you ever know you shower, but you just feel dirty? I feel like I look dirty right now. But I wash my hair, I wash my face. I look so gross. We're gonna have to see you later. I'm popping back in for a second to rant about why at the end of the semester, like this is literally the last week, and then next week is finals. Why on the last week do they introduce the hardest material? Like, well, anyway, our final lab, which part 1 was last Wednesday, part 2 is today. So I was in a group, and this is what I ended up doing. It took me the whole time. I felt so bad. I didn't do anything else. I didn't contribute to any other activities, but I wasn't doing nothing. I was working on this, and it may not look like a lot, but I had to go and measure all these walls. I had one of my partners help me, and then filling all this out, and then measuring with a ruler how far out to put each of these, and then I wanted to pinpoint them, and I had to get the right angle so it'd be an exact replica of the room. But it was a mock crime scene that I had to sketch, and then we had to pick up evidence and all that, but I didn't do that because this is as far as I got. Today we have to come up with a conclusion, like what we think happened. There was a man, a wife, broken glass, gunshots, bullet casings on the floor, and the wife was killed by a gunshot, and the guy was killed accidental from a drug overdose, which there was a can, which we took fingerprints from, and powder, to come up with it. I have a giant pimple right here. You can't even really, oh no, you can see it. It hurts. You ever have a pimple and you graze it and it's like your body just took a screenshot? I look like I'm salivating. It's lip balm. I promise. I just got on my forensic final part 2, and let me tell you, it was slightly agonizing. We had to use all the evidence we had to come up with a scenario on why all this chaos and death happened. Mabel and Tobias, who are married. Tobias is a drunk and he does drugs. He overdosed and Mabel didn't know because he's usually drunk, so she thought maybe he passed out because he was drunk and just high. Didn't know he was dead. She goes to bed. She wakes up the next morning from glass breaking and she grabs her husband's gun to defend herself. And when she gets out to wherever the glass was broken, she sees 2 intruders, John Jay and Barney. Mabel goes to shoot the intruders. Barney grabs the gun from her. He's wearing gloves and shoots Mabel. She's dead. He drops the gun and Barney steals her purse, and then Barney steps in his sneakers in Mabel's blood and leaves 2 feet prints leaving out the front door. And then John Jay goes back out through the window where he cuts his arm and leaves blood and a fingerprint. And then Tom T is a drug dealer, and we were thinking maybe he was involved, but he had an ankle monitor on that said he can't leave his house, and it said he was at home the whole day and at the time of the incident, so he really couldn't have done it. It's the person selling drugs to Tobias, but how he's connected, because he was said to have had possession of Mabel's credit cards, so he had to be involved some way. So Barney, who killed Mabel and stole her purse, I believe gave Tom T a credit card to pay off his debt. And then John didn't want to seem a part of it, so he gives that credit card to somebody else after hearing the whole story from Barney. And then when that credit card is found on John M., which is the person who was found with that credit card, and John M. tells the police that Tom gave it to him and said it's from his girlfriend. He lied by saying it was from his girlfriend so that he didn't put Barney's name in his mouth and get connected to the whole case. Whatever, that's it. I just want to tell you the explanation. See you later. I do have a class tomorrow, but there's really nothing else to show you, so this is going to be the end of the video, including some clips of my favorite selfies of myself. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I also wanted to add real quick on the 2 tests I took today. I got a 90 and 100